In the last video, we poured the river and made the waterfalls, and while I'm generally happy with how they turned out, I still think they look a bit static. So let's see if we can spice them up with some froth. So there are two techniques I'd like to try for creating a frothy look to the waterfalls. Both of them are based on videos by Kathy Malat. One uses polystyrene along with some UV curing resin to make a kind of a mist along the edge of the waterfall. And the other that she used involves some very fine glass beads mixed in with acrylic medium, gloss medium, to make a kind of a frothy mixture. Now, based on that, I had gone on to Amazon and ordered some stuff that I thought was similar to what she had, and that's this here. However, when I opened it up, I was dismayed to discover that it is in fact a very fine dust, and I mean really fine, like as in I'm afraid of it. You can see the warning right there about breathing it. This does not seem like something I want to involve in my hobby. In fact, I don't want it anywhere in my office after this this video is complete. So I went back online and got something else here. This time searched a little bit more carefully and came up with this. And as you can see here, this is much more what I had in mind. These are actual little glass beads, and I am hoping that when mixed in with some acrylic medium, it will give it a nice frothy look. Now it is a little bit more gray or kind of silver than I expected, but we'll see what it looks like when it's mixed in. And just out of morbid curiosity, I did take some of that fine glass powder and mix it in here. You can see. And, you know, to be honest, it doesn't look too bad, but like I said, it's just not worth the risk. I don't want to be breathing that stuff in. So let's go ahead and we'll start with the glass beads because that'll take longer to dry. So let me get that prepped and we'll give that a shot. All right, so the plan is I'm going to take this resin plug, basically, that was left over from the last pour. And by the way, I think it's hysterical the way it came out with the measuring cup with a little skin there. But unfortunately, we got to get rid of that skin, so let me do that real quick. Get that out of there. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some acrylic, some gloss medium, and I'm going to mix about a spoonful, let's go 2 spoonfuls of beads in there. Let's get that all mixed up. Alright, looks like a good little mix there, and we're going to try to make a little frothy mix like you would see at the bottom of a waterfall. Okay, that's not bad. We'll let that dry. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up another batch. Again, we'll go with 2 of these. And then we're going to put a little bit of white in there and see if that makes any difference. Alright, take that. Make that all look choppy, frothy. There we go. Alright. Now we got to give that some time to dry, and let's see what we end up with. For the polyfiber technique, I have prepared a little test waterfall to try this out on. You can see I've already got some polyfiber adhered there, and frankly, just the polyfiber by itself I think looks pretty good, but of course that would not last long. I'm sure it would get full of dust and dirt and all that kind of stuff pretty quickly. It may do that even with the resin in there, but since I don't want to mess that up, what we're going to try first is we're going to soak a little polyfiber here and kind of tease it out and see what that looks like, and then we may go ahead and stick it on there to see what we get. So let's go ahead and do that. So as I understand it, the technique would be to squeeze some resin out onto the polyfiber, kind of work it in there. Let's get that all in there. Sop up the stuff we spilled. And then I think we might need a little more. I'm going to have to clean this up afterwards. Let's get a little more in there. I think this is way more than we need for the little waterfall. I'll just pull some off. Alright. I think that's pretty thoroughly saturated. So let's just kind of tease some off of there and stick it on. I probably should have done this without the polyfiber that's already there. But let's just, oh, that's probably too much. Make it look like falling water if we can. I don't like that there. Well, not sure how that's going to work, but let's go ahead and cure it and see what we end up with. Alright. Okay, get this out of the way. Oof, forgot about that. Not sure how long this takes. I'm not sure if that's really cured or not. Well, it's a little crispy. Might be yeah, it might be a little uncured up here still. All right, let's take a look at that. Well, I'm not sure what it looks like on camera, but to be honest, I'm not entirely thrilled with that. I don't like the process, and I'm not sure I like the result. I think what I might end up doing is pulling off that polyfiber, and I don't know if I'll give it another shot with the polyfiber and resin, or if I might just try spreading some of the gloss medium with the glass beads in it along the edges, just to see what I get there. All right, let me work on that. Okay, I'm gonna give the polyfiber one more shot, but this time I'm gonna be a lot more sparing in my use of the polyfiber. I'm gonna try to just kind of accent the edges and maybe a little bit down at the bottom. So let me soak a bit of polyfiber, and we'll just kind of get that all mushed in there thoroughly, and then we'll just pull out a few thin wisps, kind of stretch them out. Even that's probably too much. Let's just run a little bit right up the edge. Now, see, I don't like the way that's going either. It's just too hard to control. Now, there's just no way. Not going to happen. All right, we're going to have to find another solution. So it's been about 24 hours, and let's take a look at our test samples. First off, you notice there's 2 additional patches here, and that's because as this was drying, I noticed it looked kind of grainy. And so I decided I would whip up 2 more tests with only about a quarter of the amount of glass beads as the first tests. So let's start here. This is the original mix with no white added, and well, that is a very cool look. It does not look like a splashing waterfall. If we look over here, even that, it looks grainy. It doesn't look like splashing water. Down here, this just looks kind of rough, and up here, I mean, this almost looks like tapioca, honestly. So I'm not thrilled with any of those results. I did do another test with the really fine dust, no white added. This is just the way it comes out. It's a little, I don't think it's entirely fully dry yet. It's not pure white, a little bit of a, call it beige tint to it, but it's really not bad. So let's figure out what's next. So I hate to admit it, but I think the best results from my testing is actually with the fine dust that I didn't want to use. So as a bit of a compromise, what I did is I went outside with the respirator on and mixed up a little batch. Once it's mixed up, I'm sure it's fine. It's mixed in with the acrylic medium, and I'm going to give that a try along the edges of the waterfall and at the base and see what that looks like. And if I really like it, then I'll just have to follow that process of mixing up the batches outside while wearing a respirator, and then come in and apply it. So let's give that a shot. Let's start down at the base. Down here, and there's still some of the polyfiber. We'll pretend that's not there. I think we'll get the idea regardless. Alright, so here's our waterfall base, splashing down. And we'll start climbing up the edge like that. Go up the other edge. polyfiber. I don't want it to be a single ridge. I want it to look a bit chaotic there. I'm going to find a technique that gives me the best result. Alright, let's let that dry and see what we get. Alright, it's not fully dry yet, but I think we can call it. I think it's pretty clear this is the way to go. So let's go ahead and make it real. Okay, time to foam it up. But before I do, I just want to point something out. That micro bead dust is intended to be a filler for resin, and it performs the same function really in the medium here. So this is a lot thicker than just the matte medium by itself would be. It's kind of consistency of frosting. So I just wanted to point that out. All right, let's get started. All right, that's pretty much it. Let's see how we did. Here is the flyover from the beginning. And here is the flyover afterwards. It's subtle, but I think there's a definite improvement there. So I think we will call this episode done, and I will see you next time.